This is Julianne Condia, host of Rewritten. Thank you so much for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hey, it's Baxter Colburn here from Public House Media. Did you know that we just added a store here at Public House Media? No, I'm not talking about a grocery store where you can go buy apples or bananas or peanut butter, which are all fantastic, especially when peanut butter's on all of those. Anyway, we've added a store here at Public House Media so you can not only come and represent your favorite podcast network, but also represent your favorite shows as well, too. Just go over to thephmedia.com and look in the top right corner where you'll see the button that says Store. Click on that and you can search through all of our great products. Or if you go to our Facebook page, Public House Media, you can see on the left-hand side a tab that says Store. All of our products are listed there as well too. It's the new Public House Media store. You don't want to miss it. It is fantastic. Buy some of that great swag to support your favorite shows and to support Public House Media. Check it out today.
This is Kim Meyer, the host of Choose to Rise here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Choose to Rise, where we talk about living with positive mindsets, how to increase our confidence, building our faith, and living out our life on purpose. A new show comes out via podcast every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if you want to catch the episode live instead, stop by Public House Media around 6:45 Central Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Choose to Rise. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hey everyone, welcome to Beauties and Headcanons, where we're nerdy and you probably are too. This is Elisabeth and I'm here today with Lindsay and Emily and we're here to talk nerdy to you. Now today we're going to be having a little bit more of a general discussion, not anything super specific. But, you know, as you probably realize, we have a whole lot of different fandoms that we're involved in and a whole lot of different worlds that those fandoms encompass. And we wanted to kind of take a minute to talk about which one of those worlds, if we were given the chance, would we like to go and live in? And conversely, which ones would we definitely not want to go and live in? So we've kind of made a little list of our favorites, or not necessarily favorites, but the ones we think would be a really great place to live in, and those we think would not be such a great place to live in. And we've also made sure to not give each other too much of an advantage. So if we do get to choose, say, where and when we turn out, we don't get other choices as well. So if you take a stipulation, you have to take a disadvantage as well. So, Emily, did you want to get us started?
Yeah, let's go. So I'm going to start off with some of my best picks, and some of them are from maybe less mainstream fandoms, but they are fandoms nonetheless. You've heard about my love for the Stargate television series, and I would love to live in Atlantis from Stargate. Okay, I need to kind of set this up in case you don't know the background on it. In the Stargate world, Atlantis is on another planet in another galaxy, and Atlantis is a city that is a super technologically advanced city built by a race of aliens called the Ancients. And they were, like I said, highly technologically advanced. At the time that the humans discover Atlantis, it was under a humongous ocean on this planet, and there were no ancients to be found anywhere. The ancients actually put Atlantis into dormant mode, which caused it to sink into the ocean on purpose, because it was under attack by a race of aliens called the Wraith. And now Wraith feed on humans as their life source. And so basically, anytime a Wraith knows that there's a planet populated with humans, they come and attack and kill everybody because that's how they get their food. So that's real great. That's the downside of living in Atlantis, is that there's Wraith. So
I see what they did there, though. I see the play on the Atlantis and
exactly.
What we know of as Atlantis. So I'm glad you clarified that.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah.
So yeah.
I see the downside though too.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
So when the humans get there, they accidentally cause Atlantis to come up out of the ocean, and it's this island. It's a humongous island city in the middle of an ocean, and the planet has a mainland as well. But now it's no longer hidden, so the Wraith actually know it's there. Oh, I forget if the Wraith know it's there when the humans are there. I think it got compromised at one point, so they had to move locations because Atlantis is actually a spaceship too, which is amazing. So, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
But there's no ancients there anymore. The ancients actually all ascended to a higher plane of existence because they're like, well, there's kind of nothing left for us here in like the world. So they just kind of, it's kind of like one of those, it kind of plays on Buddhism a little bit where you like become enlightened, and the further enlightenment that you reach, like you can actually just become pure spirit, which is what the ancients became. And so then they're part of the like ancient collective, which kind of reminds me of the Q continuum in
I was
Star
just
Trek
about
a
to
little
say.
bit. It's a little bit like that, actually. So they're not. So the ancients, once they've ascended, they're not supposed to interfere with anything lower than their plane of existence. But so like Q in Star Trek, the one, I guess the one instance or entity of Q does a little bit, and he kind of gets in trouble for it. The ancients would get in trouble for doing it as well. So there's no ancients in the city when the humans discover Atlantis at all. So what I would say, like, I don't know if I would rather be there during the ancients' time there so that I could, like, be amongst them and learn from them and kind of, like, discover what they were like, or if I would really like to be there after they've ascended, and be there, like, when the humans are there, too, because then, like, the Wraith think that Atlantis is gone after the ancients ascend, which means that it's a little bit more safe. But then I'd still have to learn the ancient language. I'd have to learn the ancient technology and figure out how all of that works. Whereas if I were there during the ancient time, then somebody'd be there to teach me really easily. So I don't know exactly. I think if I really had to pick, I would probably play it safe and be in Atlantis after the ancients have all ascended, because I think I can figure things out pretty easily, and I actually really, really enjoy learning that kind of stuff. So for me, I pick Atlantis after the ancients have ascended. So that's one of mine. It was super cool. Another one though is the universe from the Wheel of Time book series, written by Robert Jordan. I don't know if either of you have heard of it or if you're fans of it or anything. I've only read the first 4 books. What was that?
I said I have not, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So there are 14 books and a prequel. The first 12 books, including the prequel, were all written by Robert Jordan. And then since he had such extensive notes, the last 2 books were written by either a very close friend or his son or something like that. But what I love about the Wheel of Time world is that it's just the way that magic works in that world is very interesting. Somebody is sensitive to what's called the One Power, and then it would have the ability to use that magic in the form of earth, water, fire, air, or spirit. But then I wouldn't get to choose whether or not I lived before or after the breaking, and the breaking is a time when the male side of the One Power was tainted, and that causes male channelers, magic users, to go crazy and die, usually very violently. But since I'm a female, that doesn't really apply to me, so I'm okay with that.
Well, it doesn't sound like too much of a disadvantage. It kind of almost sounds a little bit like the Avatar: The Last Airbender world, where there's different kinds of benders where they can either use fire or earth or water or air. But then there's the Avatar that can use all of them, and plus the Avatar can ascend to this Avatar state. So
yeah,
that actually sounds kind of interesting. I might have to check that out then.
You should. It's actually it's considered high fantasy, so it's more along the lines of Tolkien's writing, which is wonderful. And it's very, very complex, and it follows a lot of different character storylines. I haven't actually read Lord of the Rings at all, but it's probably the closest thing that I've read to Lord of the Rings from what I hear. It's very good. And, but yeah, and I love Avatar too. I totally didn't even think of that. I kind of wanted to pick one of living in that realm now because I love it. But I'm gonna talk about my other one then, because I have to pick Harry Potter. I would love to be an animagus in Harry Potter because I just think it would be super cool. Like, just transform into an animal for fun, or because I need to hide from a terrible wizard or witch or something, like.
What would your animagus form be?
I don't know, though. That's the thing. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would choose cat. They're pretty inconspicuous and can, get into and out of a lot of places pretty easily.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I don't know.
I was trying to come up with something that was more you, like, what could I see you as being more often than not? So, I got maybe a bunny. I love you.
Thanks.
Maybe a bird?
A bird would be good too.
Yeah.
A rabbit seems so like I understand your aspect.
I didn't say rabbit. I said bunny.
Oh, bunny. Sorry.
A bunny.
A bunny is so gentle, but it also seems very helpless.
I know. You're definitely not that.
But,
so
yeah. So I like the bird idea because a bird can be gentle too, but like a hawk is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Maybe I would be some kind of bird. The ability to fly would be great as well. Maybe I'll be an owl. Well, then people would always try to give me their mail, though.
Yeah, that part probably wouldn't work out too well.
Yeah, but maybe, I don't know. What's a really cool kind of bird? A falcon? Falcons are cool.
Falcons are cool. Yeah.
I'll be a falcon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's all of my best universes to live in. Who wants to do theirs?
Oh, I can do mine next, and then Elisabeth can finish up, and then we'll start out on our worst ones. So my very first place that I would want to live, because I have read the Lord of the Rings, not necessarily The Hobbit, but I would want to be in Middle-earth, and specifically the Shire. So I could totally see myself as a hobbit any day of the week. And I could definitely see myself as having a little house underneath a hill and growing all types of things all over the place. And if I had the time and the ability and the energy to be able to keep up with one of those places, I would be on cloud 9. Now, of course, the drawback on that would be all of the cool things that happen in Middle-earth, and whether or not I'd be someone who would travel, and being a hobbit, I would not. So there's the drawback. But I was looking up online when Peter Jackson was actually looking for where he was going to make the Shire for them to film. And I was looking at pictures of Hobbiton, in New Zealand, where they made it, where they made the sets, and I could just go there. They actually built the houses, and there's these cute little piers that go out onto little swampy areas where you can fish. And I mean, I'd probably get lonely, but it's beautiful. It is breathtaking.
That would be really cool.
I had all this special extended DVDs with all the appendices and everything, and the way that they built up Hobbiton was amazing, because they built it kind of into the natural landscape. They put everything in there, and then they basically abandoned it for about a year or so and let everything grow over so that it would look like it had just always been there.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I mean, looking at the pictures, I am in awe. I'm jealous that I'm not there right now. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine in college actually studied abroad in New Zealand, and so she visited the Shire that was there, and she just loved it. It's just gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Even just the way some of the houses are built, obviously into the hills, but then the color schemes too, with the yellow walls and the blue doors, and I could make a very nice, happy little home there.
Yeah.
My next one, of course, which is strange because the next one I have is Endor, which is where the Ewoks live in the Star Wars universe. Now, again, the drawback there is the genocide that's happening on the Forest Moon, so that's no good. But I I think it's interesting. I just realized that a lot of the houses are higher up in Endor as opposed to in the Shire where they're under the hills and in the ground. So it's clearly not necessarily where I am as far as the surroundings. So really tall, big trees. And ever since I was really small and first started watching Star Wars, I wanted to have an Ewok for a pet, but I'll take one for a friend. So I mean, I could do that too. I know I wouldn't want one.
They make the best friends, the best cuddle buddies. I bet
they would be fantastic.
When I was going through high school, I had maybe it was after high school. I had a panda, big heavy teddy bear guy, and his name was Simon. He was named after that Ewok. Color seems wrong, but he was there. I had him when I gave birth to my daughter, and I think we still have him somewhere. But he's my very favorite stuffed animal ever, and I always made jokes that he was my little Ewok. So I guess I can't own a real one. So I'll take my imagination.
There you go.
The last one I have as a place that I would like to live or that I could live, and this one's kind of far-fetched, and again, we're talking about fandoms that are ours, but not necessarily very well known, but Battlestar Galactica, the universe there. Now, there's a lot of play on the different planets and the different systems and what's going on and where in time it is. And I know you guys haven't watched it, and I'm kind of out of season with it. So it's been a while since I watched it. I loved it then. The hardest part for me, I think, is that they are constantly looking for Earth, and I would want to be on Battlestar Galactica, honestly. And I'm not someone who could really be very useful in a big spaceship like that, but I would want to just be there with them. And of course I'd find, my niche. I'd find out what I was doing, but that's about as exciting as I think I could get. We'll talk a little bit later about places that I would not want to live, and that one's going to make me seem like a coward. So, with no further ado, then, Elisabeth, what are your places that you would want to be?
Well, probably like my number one place that I would want to be. I know I don't really necessarily have these numbered, but like the one where if I could really have a choice, this is where I would go. I would want to live in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Because I think it would just be so awesome to live in a place where money just isn't really a worry. You just work and you live and you maintain a pretty healthy work to family life ratio, and everybody's fairly happy. I mean, at least in Starfleet. And I'd love to do like kind of research or something scholarly within Starfleet. I think it would just be a lot of fun. I've always been intrigued by that kind of area of study, but like in real life, I just, obviously have not had the opportunities to pursue that as a real job. And also I specifically chose The Next Generation because they have holodecks. Yes. I mean, you can go in a holodeck and you can hang out anywhere at any time in the world, whether it's like real life or whether it's fantasy or fiction. So like, even though I'm living in Next Generation, like I could take a short little jaunt to the Shire, or I could, take a little trip to ancient Egypt and, kind of hang around there and have fun. And I just think it would be cool. And they kind of encourage that relaxation, that downtime. And so I think that's definitely something that I could get into. The only stipulation I would really take is that I would be in Starfleet doing something relatively safe. Otherwise, I don't really mind exactly when or where I end up, or even what ship I end up on, because I like the Enterprise, obviously, but I'm not, like, if I have to be there and I can't be on the Enterprise, I won't be mad,
Nice.
Well, I see that too. Like, I feel the same way. I would want to be doing something fairly safe, but still be able to enjoy what I'm doing. So I totally, I see. I gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
That would be super awesome, because then It's almost like you're in the TARDIS, kind of, because of the holodeck.
Yeah, like, even though I'm not actually traveling to these places, I still get to see them and experience them in some way. So, it's not, it's definitely a good compromise, I think. So that's why I think I would probably choose the Next Generation over any other one, because I kind of get the best of both worlds,
Nice.
And my second one, I would take a big stipulation with. I would go to the Elder Scrolls universe, but only if I can be a master level conjuration mage. Because that way, no matter what situation I'm in, I can just conjure a couple of Dremora Lords to protect me, and I'll be cool, because, Dremora Lords are very, very tough guys. They're basically like the biggest, toughest things that you can conjure in that world. So, nobody would really want to mess with me. So, since I take that stipulation, I don't think I can choose, like, when or where I'd end up, but, no matter where or when I'd end up, I think I'd probably be okay, because even if I end up in Cyrodiil during the Oblivion Crisis, I pretty much know where the Oblivion Gates are going to pop up, so I can just, travel to wherever I need to kind of avoid them. And then if I get stuck during the whole, dragon fiasco in Skyrim, all I'd have to do is I'd probably just go up to the College of Winterhold and hang out in the Arcanium there and just read all the books and study and just, be tucked away in that little world there.
Nice. Well, that is a pretty big stipulation, but, it's not without the realm of possibility, because it's one of the options to build your character to in the Elder Scrolls, so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And, since I took that, then I'm like, well, I can't exactly choose where or when I'll end up. But, you know what? Since I have that ability to conjure a couple of Dremora Lords, I think I'll be okay no matter where I end up.
I feel like you guys were speaking a different language just now. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
There was a time where I played a lot of games and really sort of kind of could keep up, but I never ever wanted to be a conjurer in any way, shape, or form. I always wanted to be a cleric, no matter what. I was always a cleric. And so I feel like, okay, yes, I understand Elder Scrolls and conjuring Dremora Lords.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a pretty heavy stipulation on something like that. So I get it. Again, you want to be safe, but you also want to be able to see it all. So very cool.
Yeah.
And then my last one is I would definitely want to go to the Doctor Who universe, and specifically I would want to be in the TARDIS. And not just like, just on like an Earth or a planet somewhere where I run into the Doctor. I'd actually want to be on the TARDIS like full time and just be able to see all these worlds, and just the historian or the history geek in me and the writing geek in me just would really be interested to see all these different points in time and all these different cultures and just meet all these different people. I think it would be really awesome. And because I took the stipulation of being in the TARDIS, I can't decide which Doctor I end up with, which I'd prefer 9 because he is my Doctor, but I would go with any of them, to be honest. I'm not too picky if I'm in the TARDIS.
I would love that too. Like, I honestly probably wouldn't care which Doctor, but 10 would be great. He's my Doctor. But I would love to just be immersed in whatever culture we happen to appear in, no matter what it was. Like, I just love learning about other cultures and kind of walking in their shoes for a little while just to see what it's like.
Well, and that's really interesting to me because there's a theme here with Elisabeth's places. She is obviously a writer and obviously wants to, and also someone who loves history and who doesn't. But the thing that really scares me, and I actually put the TARDIS as something that I wouldn't want to be on, that I wouldn't want to be stuck there, or even in like the Who universe, because I feel like it's too, there's too much unknown to me. So we know that the TARDIS that Doctor Who has a malfunction where it's not necessarily being piloted by the Doctor, but kind of pilots itself. And that sometimes it ends up where it's supposed to, but sometimes it's in the general area. So I'd be a little wary of that, not really being 100% sure where I'm headed, because I feel like there's so much, there's just so many variables with that. But I agree, the historian in me and the person who loves history and loves culture and loves people, that there's a huge draw there. I would love to be able to see those things and to experience them, but the not so the specificity of it would have to be in place. And so I put that down as one of the ones I would definitely not want to be in, because I feel like there's not only, and I have a little bit of claustrophobia too, so I wouldn't want to be in there. But when you think about it, the TARDIS is so huge, but there's so much to explore in it. So, I mean, I can see both sides, as usual, but I still, I don't know about that one. It would be totally lots of fun, but these stipulations are getting harder and harder as we go along.
Well, Lindsay, do you want to just go ahead with the rest of your would not?
Sure. Well, so the TARDIS obviously is my one where everybody says that they want to, and I wouldn't. But then my other one, actually, and Emily can speak with this one with me as well, is the verse from Firefly / Serenity. I was looking up pictures of it, because there was a map that was recently done in actually 2014 of it. And it's beautiful, and there's the white sun and the red sun and the blue sun, but I would be absolutely terrified of living on an outer planet.
Yes.
So there's no way, specifically what's the name of that planet, Emily?
Miranda?
Miranda. Yeah. I would not want to be anywhere near a place where a Reaver could have hopped planets, for crying out loud.
Reavers
and
give me the heebie-jeebies.
I'll bring my own supplies. Thank you very much. And so that one's my big one. In thinking about this though, I've also thought, I don't want to be anywhere that there's zombies. So no Walking Dead, please.
No.
And no plagues or other debilitating diseases. I would rather just fall asleep and die when that happens. So if we could just keep all of the big scaries and the big baddies away from me, I would be a happy little Ewok owning hobbit.
There you go.
That's the plan. That's all I have.
Okay. Yeah, specifically, I say I would not want to live in Miranda because of Reavers.
Right.
No. I mean, and the outer planets are just so poorly managed, and you never know where you'd end up. I mean, you could end up on one of the inner planets and be, really, really well off, but even then, I wouldn't want to live there, because then people are super snobby and stuck up, and I wouldn't want to do it. If I ended up on Serenity, then I'd be okay. If I were in Mel's crew or something like that. But I don't know. I'd be willing to do it if only if I got to specifically be there. And even then, it's kind of they run into Reavers in there too. So no, thank you. Yeah. But that, Lindsay, you were saying that you wouldn't want to be anywhere zombies or any big bads. That made me think totally of no supernatural for me, thank you.
Right. No, I was thinking about that earlier too.
No. That is why I do not watch it, is because I get freaked out. Yes. Yep.
Oh. Absolutely.
Definitely not for me either. And probably because I know the most about it is why I would not want to go there, because I mean, I would know what to do in certain circumstances, but I would just be on edge and paranoid all the time. I wouldn't be able to enjoy it.
Yes. Oh, that's exactly a good point. Totally.
I mean, I was at work by myself recently, late at night at 11 p.m., and I'm telling you, this giant, brand new building was making strange noises. So I totally, the paranoia would be on high alert for sure.
Yeah. Another place that I don't think I would do well in personally, this isn't even necessarily a fandom per se, but it's from, the realm of books and stuff. It's the world of Divergent, the post-apocalyptic, you get sorted into factions based on a certain little test you take. I don't know where I would fit. That one. And if I had to, be in a faction, I would not... I don't do well with, like, having to be, I don't know, like, because there's Candor, Dauntless, Amity. What were the other two? The one that's really smart that starts with an E, and I can't remember, and the selfless one.
Erudite
is the smart one, yeah, and then I forget what the selfless one is.
I cheated a little bit. It's abnegation.
Abnegation, yes. And, like, like, on the one hand, I want to say that I would just be, like, dauntless, but then there's so much amity in me, I'm like, I don't want to be, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be happy no matter where I got placed in whatever faction.
Well, see, and that's interesting too, because it comes right back to, like, the unknown of it. I specifically didn't say anything about Harry Potter, even though I totally wanted to, because what if I'm sorted to be a Slytherin?
Oh, hey, we're cool.
Some of them are cooler than others.
That's true. Yes.
I'd be the Slytherin that hangs out with the Hufflepuffs a lot.
Nice. You're
okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you'd be hanging out with me, so I totally get it.
Because my husband was sorted into Hufflepuff, so...
Oh, sure.
So we're a Slytherpuff family.
There you go. I like it.
Well, apparently I am Hufflepuff and Gryffindor, so...
See, I feel like I would be... Like, okay, I've always thought Gryffindor was fantastic, and then, like, I got sorted into Ravenclaw on Pottermore, and now I'm like, Ravenclaw's awesome, that's pretty cool, and now I'm like, sometimes I act like a Hufflepuff, like, so much. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I'm still definitely Hufflepuff all the way, so I totally get it.
That's great.
Yep. And I think recently we were talking about that, and you said the same thing about me, so
yes.
May as well just succumb to it, I suppose.
Yeah, well, the whole dystopian future thing, I mean, it's all really cool to, like, read about or to watch if it's a movie, but, like, when you really think about it, it would really suck to live there. And so that's why for one of my worst places, I listed the Hunger Games. I actually finally just rewatched the whole series. I hadn't gotten a chance to watch the last two movies, so I went through and I watched all of them, and it's cool and it's awesome and everything, but it would really suck to live there. And I mean, pretty much the only good place to live would be the capital, but even by the end, like, even that isn't really that great. So, I mean, you choose one of the districts, well, you're going to be at risk for, being reaped or your children being reaped.
Right.
And then if you go in the capital, well, you'll be fine for a while. But then if you're there when the capital falls down, well, it's probably going to suck for you. And I know that I don't think the books or the movies necessarily went into a lot of detail as to the fate of the capital or its citizens, like, too much longer after it fell. But, I mean, I would have to think that it would be extremely difficult if you're used to living the way that they were living to have to readjust to living a lot more Spartan than they were.
Yeah, I don't remember what they said about the capital afterward. I just remember I was super shocked at what Katniss did toward the end. I'm not going to necessarily spoil anything in case you haven't read it yet or whatever, but yeah.
I was so proud of her when she did it. So proud.
Yes.
And my second one is, I think, one that probably everyone would agree that they would want to go there, and that's Westeros, because let's face it, no matter where you pop in or who you pop in as, you're probably going to die, and it's probably going to be painful, and it's probably going to suck. So, there's just so few people in that world that you can trust, and I mean, the odds that you'll actually end up near enough to where they are it's not good. So yeah, definitely not Westeros. Even though it's a really cool place, it's really interesting, and it has lots of cool stories, I definitely would not want to go there.
Yeah, I can only think of, like, an area that I might want to visit. and that's about it.
Yeah, like, I can visit that on the holodeck. That's one of the holodeck ones that I'll go to.
There you go. Yes, that's a holodeck location right there.
Well, see, and that brings me back to like Ready Player One, where all of those places are a virtual reality somewhere. So I feel like that, I don't know if a holodeck would actually have Westeros, because Westeros isn't real, but if you were in Ready Player One, someone has made the software of Westeros. So something to think about.
It has been established that there are fictional places loaded into the holodeck. Because Captain Picard actually goes and jaunts around as Robin Hood.
Yeah, and Data is obsessed with Sherlock Holmes and all of those mysteries, and so anything that's in the Sherlock Holmes books is in there too. And since,
I think like anything like a major fictional world might be loaded in there. Yeah. And especially like they're probably like, adding to it all the time too. It's not like something set. There's probably like updates that they run and like, oh, now we've added this world and now we've added this location,
Sure. Well, and I think I want to say that somebody like made their own program once and ran it. So like you can make your own holodeck programs.
Yeah, didn't Wesley do one once?
Probably. I feel like that's a Wesley thing to do.
It sounds like a Wesley thing.
Well, see, and all of my sci-fi stuff is getting mixed up here because there's a show that was recently on Netflix. I think it still is, where it's Black Mirror. And
it is.
There's a guy who creates a software program that people log into, and certain people get trapped in there, and they are under his authority as these little virtual avatars. They're not the real people, but he bases them off of the real people, and then they become self-aware, and they want to try and escape the software program. And so, like, I'm feeling like there's just a bit of play in there where, so many different things have been written about NPCs and non-player characters becoming self-aware, and I feel like that's just like a slippery slope. There's so much that could be going on in any of these universes, in any of these worlds.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then my last one, some people might think it a little odd, but I mean, if you really think about it, I don't think it's that odd, and that's Gotham. Because I think it's pretty self-explanatory, honestly, but, Batman has this extensive rogues gallery for a reason, because they are just all over the place, and the violence very typically spills over onto the innocent citizens of the city all the time. So, I mean, you could just be going to work or living your life, and all of a sudden, oh, you've been dosed with fear gas, or, oh, you've been exposed to Joker's toxin, or, oh, there's Killer Croc coming up and he's about to eat your face, that kind of thing. So just all the risks that goes into, living in a place like Gotham, that's a no for me.
Yeah, any place like Gotham in general, Gotham has all these terrible things happening to it all the time, or like, I don't know.
Or Metropolis.
Yeah, like any of those cities in the DC universe, I feel like are just kind of magnets for terribleness.
About the only one that's relatively safe would be Central City, because the Flash's villains aren't all that bad, in comparison. And I mean, one of his villains actually, like, the extent of what he does is, like, he has some mental illness issues going on, and pretty much all that the Flash has to do is talk to him and convince him to go back to the hospital and turn himself in. Like, I remember they actually played off of that in the Justice League cartoon, and that was awesome to see. And so yeah, that probably the safest place relatively in the whole DC universe.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for getting nerdy with us today. You can talk nerdy to us, too. Which fandom world would you want to live in? Find Beauties and Headcanons on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr to share your nerdy topic suggestions, too. And subscribe to this podcast and others from Public House Media on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and wherever else good podcasts are found. We also have a store, so check out thephmedia.com. And go to the store tab, and you can find Beauties and Headcanons swag, which I'm super excited about. They have t-shirts, phone cases, mugs, just all kinds of cool stuff with our logo on it. It's great. Also, we love feedback, so if you liked this episode, or even if you didn't, please give us a rating and a review so that we can keep making great episodes for you. I'm Emily.
I'm Elisabeth.
And I'm Lindsay.
And thanks for getting nerdy with us on Beauties and Headcanons.